a video on mushroom soup, and I'm going to do it two ways. I'm going to do like a basic way, and then I'm going to make a version with some porcini mushrooms in, which are cheap in the supermarket. Well, not cheap because they're never cheap, but they're reduced in the supermarket, and I just kind of thought they're just an interesting thing to have in the cupboard. So we'll throw some of those in as well into one of the pans of soup. They're dried. You need to soak them in a little bit of water, hence that's what that is. And the ones that we make with the porcini mushrooms, it's going to you get like a double hit of more interesting flavours, because you get the mushrooms in there, and we're also going to put in the liquid that they soak the mushrooms in as well, because there's loads of flavour. So we don't want to waste that. We just need to be careful that there's sometimes a little bit of sediment and a little bit of like grit or sand or soil at the bottom of the water, so we don't want to include that. So it's a pretty straightforward recipe. And I bought field mushrooms because they were the same price as button mushrooms, and they've got more flavour, and they've just got more flavour for the money. So the recipe is going to be, and because mushrooms are mostly water, I've just changed the recipe slightly. I'm not entirely sure what the recipe is going to be yet. We're going to work it out as we go along, if that makes sense. So we've got two pans. We've got 500 grams of onions in both pans. That was the weight before I peeled and chopped them. And there's 500 grams of onions in that pan as well. I was just running out of space, so we've already put the mushrooms in that pan. So 500 grams of onions, 500 grams of mushrooms, and that's going to be the basis of the recipe. So we're going to put those in now. So we actually put some mushrooms in the bottom, and we're going to start to cook those. So we'll start cooking them with just a little bit of water in, just to start off, then steaming, and then we don't need to add any kind of excess oil, because I'm trying to keep things cheap. So if we cook them in butter, we add the price of the butter. If you do start the cooking process in butter, you are going to get better flavour. So that's kind of advisable, but I'm not doing that because I want to keep the price down, and can't really tell that much difference. So 500 grams of onions, 500 grams of mushrooms, cheapest mushrooms that you can get your hands on, and therefore we can use more. If you're to use wild mushrooms, it just tends to put the price up a little bit. And no, we're not putting any stock in. And then what else we got? And we've got some. So we're going to cook these down, and then we're going to add some. We need to cook the onions, and we just need to saute slightly. It's not saute because there's no butter in. We just need to cook the onions so they are tender, and we just need to start to fry already. And we just need to cook the mushrooms down as well, just to release some of the liquid. And then you'll see the pans are kind of quite full at the moment, but as they cook, they'll drop right down, and we'll lose a lot of the kind of the liquid will come out of them. So it'll be fine. So we'll cook those for 5 or 10 minutes until the onion is nice and soft, and then we'll add some boiling water, and then we'll puree it up, and then we'll kind of be back when these are kind of cooked, and then I'll kind of explain the rest of the process. But we're going to add some chicken stock, which is going to be the main chicken stock cubes, which is going to be the main flavouring and the main seasoning, and I'll add a little bit of richness to them. And then we've got some milk just to add a little bit of creaminess. You can add cream, but I'm going to use full fat milk because it's cheap, and there's no point using. You'd have to use more semi-skimmed milk, and it's the same price as the whole milk, so we might as well use the whole full fat milk. But that's pretty much it. So for the moment, we'll cook these down with the lids on, and then we're not that kind of bothered. And then we're going to add some water. So we'll make them both the same, in the same kind of way, but one of them will have the mushrooms in, which we're going to chop up. And I'm also going to just chop those up kind of quite finely. I'm not going to puree the soups, but you'll see as we go along. And then we'll work out how much water goes in when we're pureeing down. We'll add hot water, and then we'll add seasoning, and then we'll add some milk, and we'll kind of, then by the end of it, we'll have a recipe and how much we've got in volume. Yes, so, but when I add water to one, I'll be adding the liquid from the dried mushrooms as part of that liquid. So if I'm going to add half a litre of liquid to both of these pans, half of that litre will be made up of all of that water in there. So it'll be like that amount of water plus whatever amount of water takes it up to 500 millilitres, if that makes sense. Makes sense to me? I'm sure it does to you. Right, so the mushrooms and the onions are now cooked, and it looks like a black grey mess in the bottom of the pan, but that's fine. So I've drained the mushrooms, and as you can see, in the bottom of the mushroom water bowl, there is some bits of sediment. Some of those might be a bit gritty. We don't want those in the soup, so we just take the top half of the water, and then we've got, there's a little bit of liquid in there, but I think we'll be okay with 400 millilitres of, maybe not actually. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe 300 millilitres. No, I think we could. No, we should be fine. We should be fine. All right. So we've gone for 400 millilitres. This is a mixture of the water from the dried mushrooms and some more water. So boiling water. So it'll just speed up the cooking process. And then we've got 400 millilitres of water just to go in the pan at the back. So this is going to be the one made with dried mushrooms. This is just going to be the normal one. So lid's back on. Bring those up to temperature. You can, instead of I chop mushrooms, you can grate them instead, just using a box grater on the. I'll show you. Just a box grater, and then you can just grate the mushrooms on that. You can do the same with the onions actually as well. You don't, if you're worried about chopping and getting things right, just grate them. It's fine. It's easy. We're going to puree it anyway, so it doesn't really matter. I should get the blender out as well. While I'm here, prepared as always. Think about other things. That's too far away, but we'll worry about that later. And then we've got 125 millilitres of milk as well, which will have the creaminess. So I reckon on about a litre of soup needs about 3 stock cubes. So we're certainly going to put 2 stock cubes in to start off with, because we haven't put any salt in, so that's fine. So this one's going to be, because this has got the mushroom stock in and the dried mushroom as well, and this is going to be basically a good one, but you don't have to make it with dried mushrooms. It's just one of those things that if you've got it, why not use it? So we'll put in 2, and we should turn the one in the back on as well. That's fine, we'll just make them one at once. So that's fine. That can bubble away. It's bubbling enough, so we'll turn it down, which is that one, and hopefully, will the blender want to stretch? I've got wires everywhere. Yeah, we'll be okay. We'll be okay. Right, so we'll blend this down, and then we'll see if it needs any more liquid. And then if it needs any more liquid at this stage, we'll know that we need to put some more liquid in that one at the same time. Plus, we're going to be putting the milk in as well. But we'll just start it off. We'll give it a blend, and then we'll get an idea of what kind of consistency we've got. Mushrooms are mostly water. Same with the onions. So the blender's struggling, so we know that it's going to need more water. So we might as well put in the milk now, and then we might need to add some more milk as well. Another 100 millilitres of water, of milk, and that'll make it nice and creamy. So excuse me while we're out, but this is also a way of working out recipes. So nothing is exact science until you've worked it out. So I'm going to open another milk container. So that's another 100 millilitres in there. We'll give it a blend, see what kind of consistency we've got, and then if we need to add more water, we'll add more water. We probably will. We'll give that a taste. I think we'll get even more milk in that. Yeah, we'll put another 100 millilitres of milk in that. and it's certainly going to need another stock cube. Put that in, should get a blasted temperature as well. So where are we? At the front. I should know this, I've had the cookie years. Certainly going to need another stock cube. So, and then it'll probably need a little bit more liquid. It's always going to be a dark soup because we've used the field mushrooms, which are kind of quite black. That's nice. So, we need some more liquid in. I reckon another 200 millilitres of liquid. And then I'll get us down to some kind of decent consistency. I did have the kettle boiled, so it's going to speed up the process. So. And another 200 millilitres, if I can remember this recipe, as we go. I really should be adding to the other one as we go. So that was 200 millilitres, so we can put 200 millilitres in the back. And we'll have another 200 millilitres in each. So it's another 100 millilitres, 200 millilitres in there. And then another 200 millilitres in the one at the back. Oh, I've got that all the way around. Right way around. Turn one at the back up. There, that's better consistency. That certainly wants another stock cube in the back as well, doesn't it? Another stock cube in there as well, and then we can weigh out the milk as well. So the next 200 millilitres of milk. That's the next 200 millilitres of milk, so we know that's right. Oops, knocking the camera. Give it a taste, and then we'll see if we need another stock cube in that. We might do. Yeah, we can get one of those stock cubes in that. So, I want 4 stock cubes in all. The one at the back's boiling there, which is fine. So, another stock cube in there. Another stock cube in the one at the back. That can be fine. Mix the stock cube in. Tempted to put another 100 mils of milk in. Tempted. Yeah, we'll put another 100 millilitres of milk in. So we need to put the milk in that one. And then we need another 100 mils of milk in each. So, all very technical this. And I'll remember how much milk I put in. So another 100 mils in that one. And another 100 mils in that one. So give it a blend. There we go. That's a nice colour. And then that in there just for the second. And then we'll give it a taste. That's lovely. So, dried mushrooms can go in, that one, because that's the one that the mushroom stock went in. and give it a stir. Just to infuse the flavours. Got time to mix, so that'll be nicer in a couple of minutes' time. So lid on with that one, and then we can blend the soup at the back, and hopefully, because we've worked out the recipe with the one at the front, the one at the back should be exactly how we want it as soon as we blended it. I think these 2 pounds, I think I've got slightly the wrong recipe in each of these. No, they'll look fine. They'll look fine. So, brought up to the boil. That was a bit, slightly more in the one in the front, so it wants a little bit more water. I reckon 100 mils. Hopefully that's right. I'll have to look at the recipe and rewatch the video and just make a note, which I did. No, they look like they're about the same amount in each pan now. So as you can see, the one at the back's lighter, and that's because the mushroom stock we put in was kind of quite dark. There we go, that's better consistency. Right, we can get rid of that, we can get rid of that. We can turn the heat off on them both. And we can give them a try. So, oh no, fix that. I mean, there's really, just for that mushroom stock, you can tell the difference in the colours. Well, I can. It made a lot of difference. But anyway, so both are good consistency. They're both about the same amount of volume. There's the one at the back. It'll be nice. It's a lovely mushroom soup. And then the one at the front, which will be nicer, but still, yeah, a world of difference. For the sake of, what is that? 30 grams of dried porcini mushrooms. That makes a world of difference in the soup. So we'll have a look at what kind of volume we've got. So they'll be roughly the same volume in each, I'm guessing. So we'll probably need another jug as well, because we make quite a bit. So pour that in there. Mix that up to 2 litres. So that's made loads of soup. That's made 2 litres. That's made 2 point. That's made 2.3 litres, which is loads for that recipe. So no wonder it needed 4 stock cubes. So we'll put that back in there, and then we can measure out the back one as well. There's going to be a little bit of residue in the bowls, in the measuring jugs, but we'll just have a see how much we've made, and if we have put too much water in one of them. But they're both got nice consistency now. If you're going to use button mushrooms, you're going to certainly get a lighter coloured soup. But I use the field mushrooms, which are quite dark, so you're always going to get a darker soup. You can add cream if you want. It's just that I've got milk in the house. Yeah, that's it. So that's 2.3 litres as well. So we both made same amount of soup. I can't remember the top recipe off the top of my head. I'll have to rewatch the video. What was it? I can't remember. I could if I tried really hard, but it's certainly 500 grams of onions, 500 grams of mushrooms, certainly 4 stock cubes, and there's probably about half a litre worth of milk in there. But anyway, easy peasy mushroom soup. It'll work out really cheap as well. So I'll do the proper recipe in the description and the 2 versions of the soup. But if you want to make just a normal everyday mushroom soup a little bit more special, just put in the dried mushrooms. It makes a lot of difference. Slightly increases the price. I mean, the dried mushrooms are about 30 grams. They're about £1.50, something like that. So it ups the price. But if you want to make something a little bit more special, well worth the effort, and something kind of quite interesting to have in the back of the cupboard just to improve things, that kind of umami kind of flavour. But anyway, easy peasy mushroom soup.